Hey there guys, it's Tony here. Looking at the evolution of the gear I've been through. 2017 this year. Well, I started trapping in 1997. So this is my 20th year of doing all this conservation work that I do. So I'm gonna look back over all the gear that I used over in the past and what I still use in the present, and talk about how I got into trapping. So how I got into trapping was I was playing with a mate over in the neighbour's place there, and there used to be an old pig pen there. The floor of that still existed, so we crawled underneath that. And I actually spotted this thing. Well, this isn't the actual one, but I spotted one of these under there. And I laughed because I thought they were only in cartoons. So I was looking at it, but eventually I put my hand on it and got caught in it and gave me fright, so I thought that was cool. So therefore I learned how to use it and set it up and started catching mice, which was cool. But that was and that was the very first when I very first started to get into it. Then it was in 1997 where I was over at my grandparents' place, and I asked if I could go down to the orchard and get some oranges. They said, "Oh yeah, just watch out, don't touch the possum traps there down there." Well, the thing is don't touch possum traps. Well, for a possum trap, I just pictured that, just a bigger version of it. So I was climbing around up in the orange trees and that, and then looked down below me, and on the ground was a funny looking steel object, which I thought was part of my grandfather's tractor. It looked somewhat like that. So I got down there and I picked it up. Oh, it's attached to the ground, I can't pull it out, so eventually got the peg pulled out of the ground. And I was looking at this going, what is that? That is weird looking. Here I am probably holding it by the sharp end as such. And I got caught in it. Went off and got me across the hand. So I was caught in it that way. Got me across 4 fingers. And I couldn't get out of it, so I had to go up to my grandparents, and my grandfather had to get it off my hand. So in that case, what happened there was I got in a bit of trouble. I thought I told you to leave those possum traps alone. And, I said to them, "Oh, sorry, I wasn't meant to touch it. I didn't know that's what they looked like." And I asked if I could have another look at it. Well, at that time it was set off, so I was looking at it like that. And I thought, man, that's a neat looking device. That's quite awesome looking, And I asked them, "Oh, where can I get one of these from?" "You're not to bloody have those cruel things," he says. So that wasn't a very good place for me to ask. So I searched around. I found there's 3 different types of people. There was one that didn't even know what I was talking about when I was asking, if they knew where I could find some of these things. Another one was people that knew what they were but absolutely disliked them, and I wondered why people really absolutely disliked them. And then people that did have them but they didn't want to get rid of them as such. So eventually I found this one. This is the one I got it from the Rawene second-hand shop. And the Rawene second-hand shop is where the opposite the petrol station where the laundromat is today. So that's the first trap. I can tell it's the first trap because it's got odd shaped spring compared to the others. You see that one goes down to quite a narrow point, and this one here has got quite an open curve in the end of it. And it's the only trap that looks like that, so that's how I know it's the one. So that's, I got hold of one of these and I started catching possums in it, and got a few more. And then the one thing I did notice was the injuries it was causing to their legs. So what I ended up doing was putting a piece of plastic tubing over the serrated jaws, just so then it wouldn't injure them so badly, or injure them. It didn't really injure them at all, but the trouble is that the escape percentage went up a bit. So yeah, it started from there. I ended up getting about 140 of these all up. Still got them all, but I don't use any of them anymore, so they just sort of sit there in a pile, and that's about it. So yeah, that was where I started off. Then, at that time I was going to Umanaya School, or Umanaya Primary School. Just asking people around in those sort of areas if they knew I could find them, and not really many people did. Then we had a neighbour who moved out, and he gave me this yellow Tim's trap here, which still works perfectly well. It's the older version of the Tim's trap because the new ones have the flanget run around them. And I also got my grandparents' one as well. So yeah, I got that one from them, and then there's this other one here. This is known as a barnyard trap, and that one I got from at the time I was going to open only area school, and there's a teacher aide that was working there, and he bought this one in for me, and I sort of didn't really know much about it. I figured out how to use it, which the possum puts its head through from the front here, and then pushes down on the bar, and then it fires off and catches it by the neck. And turns out that is the first kill trap designed in New Zealand, but they weren't very effective, so weren't produced for very long. So and then I started getting other traps like this. Victor 1.5 ended up coming from the regional council up Kaitaia, and I trialled a few different ones, and this is sort of how I've gone, and as my years have gone through, that's how I've sort of upgraded. Although these two here are now illegal to use. I went to these ones. I got a couple of these just to trial them because I always trial traps, and I'm not too keen on them. I like the long spring version. These are my favourite traps here. This one and this one for if I'm using leg holds. So yeah, these two aren't used anymore, but these three I still use. Mostly those two though, if I'm using leg holds. Kill traps, so you can see it started from the barnyard trap and it's worked its way. However, I would say the Coney Bear's obviously been around a lot longer than Tim's trap, but I'm going in New Zealand terms of what's been around the longest sort of thing. And sort of in the order I've gotten hold of them as well. So I've got it. So this is possum and rabbit leg holds. The gin trap was obviously bought in as a rabbit trap back in the day, but ended up being used for possums because a leg hold trap can just catch anything if you want or don't want. The Coney Bear 220 is a trap that I was trialling for a while, and I found they were quite successful, particularly in doing a bridge set. So you set them all out on a branch, and you set about 4 in a row, and then put the bait through behind. So then the first possum will come, set the first trap off, the trap drops off, and then the next possum will come along to the next trap. I still use these 4 traps here, these possum kill traps. So you got the Tim's trap, Coney Bear 220, the Warrior trap, and the SNF trap, which I still use to this day. Now at the same time, starting off with the gin trap, I got hold of some of these fin traps, and I built those wooden trap covers that you see with my Dock 200s in them, the double ones which I built. Those I built when I was about 7-8 years old. And then you got the tunnel trap there, which I only used for a very short time, and I've only got 4 of those and weren't too keen on them. So, however, today I am doing away with the fin trap, going to these Dock 200s, and I still use little Coney Bears. That was a hash 50, but I added another spring on the other end, so it's probably now classed as a hash 60. So, that's mainly what I use for mustelids and rats and hedgehogs and that today. So yeah, that's just the evolution I'm tired. That's the evolution of my gear that I've been through over the time. So, I was only very young when I started trapping. The trouble is when you're very young, right, and when you need to set one of these, I can do it now, yes, but when you're 8 years old, you probably push it down to about there. So what I found was some of you guys, particularly plumbers and that, might know what a gate valve is. So it's a tap. It's a type of tap that when you turn the handle to turn the tap off, it has a a lump of like metal that goes down and blocks the hole so then the water can't go through. Well, I had a big one of those which I actually jammed the end of the trap in over the spring of the trap, and then I'd do it up so then I'd push down on there, and then I got hold of a large macadamia nut cracker which actually fitted quite nicely over there, and I'd just do it up to press the spring down. Anyone that uses it, has these now, I wouldn't use them now. They're actually outdated, they're cruel devices. So I started at a very young age. There's probably a lot of people now starting at a very young age. For the parents out there with kids that want to get into trapping, these 3 traps here, if an 8-year-old child got caught in one of these 3 traps here, it would probably be sore and make him cry, but it's not going to break his hand or chop his fingers off. These things are, even though my hand's a lot bigger, this actually didn't hurt me, but for an 8-year-old child it might hurt, but it's not going to break his fingers. However, it's highly recommended that you guys, when they're checking the traps, you guys go with them and the parents, and to deal with the possums. Although I used to deal with the possums at my age, I was brought up all around that sort of thing. Well, particularly on the farm and that, where you see that sort of thing happen all the time. Or if you don't want your children or your young ones being involved with dispatching the possums, then you can they can get hold of these and use these Tim's traps, because all you need to do is pull a string. They're easy to set, and the trap will deal with the possum for them. So I would not get them any of these traps, these 3 here, 220 coney beetle. They're far too powerful for them to set. They may be able to get a SNF or a warrior trap set, but the thing is, if they do get caught in that, they will lose fingers. Extremely powerful traps, those 2. Hash 50 coney bear, let them play around with that. If they get caught in that, they might find it hard to get out of it, but the same with these things, it probably wouldn't break anything. And the Doc 200 is actually good for teaching younger people on how to trap, because although you wouldn't want to get your hands caught in it, a lot of younger people can actually set those, and same with elderly people too, because when we transition from Ven traps to the Doc 200, a lot of older members and that really like to use them, because they're just so much easier for them to set. And it saved me a lot of time, because I was building setting tools so then older people could set Ven traps, and younger ones as well. So yeah. So I might do that next time, is do videos of how to get out of some of these devices, like for our younger people wanting to get into trapping. So that's us there, guys. In 20 years for me, to this day. There's one thing I've learnt though, is that I never stop learning. And people that first get into trapping, that's one thing you'll learn after a few years of doing it, is you will never stop learning about it. None of us know everything about trapping. Some of the new members that are trapping now probably know more about one thing than the old members that have been doing it for years. So it's just the way things are in that sort of category. Oh guys, well that's me. So that's all the gear that I've gone through over the years, and I'll keep on trapping as long as I have to. So, I suppose until the day I die, and then I'll stop trapping them and I'll start haunting them. So, hey then, we'll see you guys next time. Bye.